Once they ruled Rome together, Julius Caesar, Pompey the Great, and Crassus, the first triumvirate. But alliances in Rome are fragile. Crassus, the richest man in Rome, died in a failed campaign in Parthia. With him, the balance shattered. Pompey grew wary of Caesar's rising power. The Senate, threatened by Caesar's conquests, turned to Pompey as their protector. Rome no longer had three masters. It had two rivals. In 50 BC, the Senate delivered a command. Caesar must disband his army and return to Rome. As a private citizen, it was a trap. Without his legions, he'd be arrested, tried, or worse. Caesar had a choice: obey the Senate or defy it. He chose defiance. In January of 49 BC, Caesar stood at the banks of the Rubicon River. He looked south, toward Rome. And then he crossed. Alea iacta est. The die is cast. Pompey and the Senate panicked. Unprepared for Caesar's bold move, they fled the city without a fight. Rome, the heart of the Republic, was taken without spilling a drop of blood. But the real war was only beginning. Pompey regrouped in Greece, gathering legions and allies from across the eastern provinces. Caesar followed, and Rome's fate sailed with him across the Adriatic. In Greece, Pompey struck first. At Dyrrhachium, his forces nearly crushed Caesar's outnumbered army. It was one of Caesar's rare defeats, but Pompey, cautious and conservative, failed to finish him. And Caesar? He learned, adapted, waited. In 48 BC, at the plains of Pharsalus, the two giants clashed. Caesar, with fewer men but hardened veterans, faced Pompey's larger army. Most expected Caesar's defeat. But Caesar's tactics, swift flanking maneuvers, disciplined formations, overwhelmed Pompey. In hours, the Senate's champion was crushed. Pompey fled again, this time to Egypt. He hoped for sanctuary. He found a blade. Upon arrival, Pompey was betrayed by Egyptian officials seeking favor with Caesar. He was murdered at sea. His severed head was presented to Caesar. But Caesar didn't celebrate. Instead, he wept. This was not just an enemy. It was a Roman consul, a former friend, a fellow ruler. The Republic had not just lost a battle, it had lost its soul. Rome was not yet his. Caesar became entangled in Egyptian politics, supporting Cleopatra in her claim to the throne. Together, they solidified her rule and bore a child, Caesarion. But back in Rome, unrest smoldered. Remaining Pompeian loyalists rallied in Africa and Spain. Caesar marched once more, through fire and sand, across continents, crushing the final embers of resistance. By 46 BC, Caesar returned to Rome as the undisputed master of the Republic. He held triumphs for his victories, pardoned enemies, reformed laws, restructured debt. The Senate named him dictator for life. But beneath the marble, cracks deepened. Some whispered he wore his power too comfortably. Some feared the Republic would never return. Caesar had won the war, but in doing so, he destroyed the system that raised him. The Republic, weakened and hollow, now depended entirely on one man. And in Rome, that is the most dangerous position of all.